let's be real, life's no Emily in Paris, and France isn't everyone's forte. So before you go and get disappointed, let me give you all the reasons why you probably shouldn't visit. Are you ready for some culture shock? Remember how they'd show attractive actors who smoked cigarettes, looking fantastic and sophisticated in vintage classic French movies? Well, smoking is still a fairly common practice in contemporary French culture. Men and women of all ages can be seen smoking around town, and there aren't any designated areas for smoking. So prepare to be enveloped by a cloud of smoke wherever you go. So much so, up to 350 million tons of cigarette butts are thought to be found annually on the streets of Paris. The love of cigarettes among the French is evident, so France might not be the best country for you if you don't like to smoke or have asthma. Also, France might not be the country for you if you're looking to be fussed and fawned over at dinner by waitstaff who introduce themselves as your new best friends. Forget all your illusion of fast service. The restaurant culture there is super slow-paced. There's actually a proper way to place an order in eateries. In restaurants, you'll typically be seated, but otherwise, you should choose a table and wait for the waiter to come to you. Then, you're supposed to make eye contact or raise your hand only slightly if they're approaching. Anything more would be quite impolite. Keep in mind that French waitstaff have extensive training in cuisine and wine and typically multitask while racing around. They'll find you and come to you when they can. So don't lose your cool. And hey, at least you know you can relax and unwind without someone pestering you every now and then, hoping you leave soon, right?
And for you?
Is there anything that you'd recommend?
The cedar plank salmon is our specialty.
Okay.
Also, they don't expect large tips. Instead, most customers round up the total depending on the quality of the meal and service. Now, let's talk about the food. It's really not for everyone. Also, what's with all the expensive gourmet food? The contemporary restaurant originated in France, and there are dozens of eateries there, but prepare for the steeply priced selective menu items. Don't expect savory items for breakfast either. And if you don't like cheese, good luck. The smells and sights of cheese are all you'll find in France. In fact, the same way there's an etiquette for pouring a drink, there's one for cutting cheese too. Oh, and you think you can just pop in anywhere? The majority of reputable restaurants demand reservations. Prepare to wait anywhere for a day to several days, weeks, or even months. It's crucial to add your name to the list in either case.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Can I get you anything, or do you need a minute?
Yeah, you can come back. Robert.
In contrast to American cities like Los Angeles or New York, dining rooms are substantially smaller in France. Most chefs prioritize creating delectable meals during designated kitchen hours rather than shifting tables and boosting head counts. Speaking of designated kitchen hours, there are some all-day eatery, but most restaurants operate typically between noon and 2:15 p.m. for lunch and 7 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. for dinner. Don't expect to eat whenever you wish. Oh, and here's another reason you might want to reconsider that trip to France. There's no food on the go. The French believe that food and drink should be savored and consumed leisurely rather than in a hurry, while using a computer or while riding the subway. Even eating apples or bananas on the street may cause others to sneer. And get this, coffee is rarely ordered to go or consumed while traveling. Traveling reminds me of another huge problem. Google Maps isn't your friend in France. The newbies visiting for the first time, France, especially Paris, is no less than amazing. Good luck finding your way with 20 districts and streets and names that sound like the same but are very different. If you're lucky, you'll eventually come across a metro sign or bus stop with a large map of the city. If you do get lost, pray you find someone who understands you. Otherwise, public transport is your best bet. No matter what language you speak, using public transit is simple, as long as you know where you're going. An easy substitute for taking the metro is taking public bikes that are available around most major towns. This is a good time to tell you that in France, there are pedestrian crossings, but cars don't always pause at them to allow you to pass. If no one stops and you need to cross the street, you must signal your intentions before moving forward. You need to wait until they have noticed you and have slowed down. Yep, no right-of-way there. By the way, you're gonna have to reconsider how you shop if you're keen to make this trip. And whatever you do, don't touch things. Don't get too too comfortable when it comes to using your hand. Ne touchez pas, as the French say. I mean, this should be obvious by now that we're all residing in a post-COVID-19 world. Before, fruit and vegetable vendors would let customers choose their own peaches, plums, and mushrooms, but nowadays it's best to ask beforehand. Any of the weekend flea markets around the streets follow the same criteria. It's preferable to draw the seller's attention and point rather than caress the porcelain salt and pepper set as if they were already yours. Same goes for clothes shopping. France might not be for you if you like to touch and ruffle through everything you buy because trust me, the customer isn't always right there.
Mademoiselle, bonjour.
Un pain au chocolat.
Un.
Another thing you'd want to prepare yourself for is the bathroom situation. Ah, the classic conflict between paying for the restroom and remaining hydrated. You won't experience any issues as long as you are eating in a restaurant and need to use the restroom. But if you've had too much to drink, find yourself anywhere other than home, you'll have to pay around 50 cents to use the toilet. The only reason the €0.50 is worthless is because it'll prevent what may otherwise be a catastrophe. Oh, and don't expect the bathrooms to be cleaner just because you paid. By the way, if you're convinced to go because Lily Collins made it look so good, you'll really need to reconsider. If anyone actually dressed the way she dresses in Paris, they'd be deported. Stat. Parisians respect their reputation as the capital of fashion. When walking the streets during the workday, you will notice men in sharp suits and women running to the metro in dresses and heels. Women typically wear light colors, flowery skirts, and open shoes in the summer. In the winter, fashionable coats and scarves are the norm. Being stylish is a trait that's passed down via families as parents outfit their children in original looks and high-end clothing. All year long, Parisians are well prepared to look their best, even if it's just to walk to the grocery store on a Sunday morning. But don't overdo it a la Emily Cooper. If you're looking for a casual holiday where you can just walk along in your sweats and sneakers, reconsider. Oh, and whatever you do, don't visit before you got at least some understanding of French. The language barrier made it challenging for visitors up until a few years ago because not many locals could speak English. Even though more locals are now Anglophone due to the internet and the expanding impact of American culture, they generally prefer speaking their native tongue to English.
Patricia, je voudrais partager quelques idées sur la manière dont nous pourrions améliorer l'engagement des médias.
Non. Non.
Not greeting people or not saying s'il vous plaît and merci enough is a serious issue. Remember that simple greetings like bonjour or au revoir can mean a lot to the locals. Opening with as much French as you can will always result in better service and a tone of respect. That's all for the reasons why you shouldn't visit France. Sprinkled with a lot of truth about the French experience. So go on, make your decision. See you around.